Jim and I might be new to making videos, but we have had many great years of classic British car ownership going all the way back to our first cars. Between us, we have enjoyed several Minis, a Triumph Spitfire, a few MGBs, a Jag, and now our lovely little midget, Dotty. As you can imagine, all these little beauties did, at times, throw a tantrum, and when they did, we would often find the part we needed at MGOC Spares. MGOC Spares have a vast range of classic MG parts and accessories and also look after the needs of MGF drivers, Classic Mini, Land Rover, Morris and many more to keep your loved one on the road for many more memories to come. So check out their website at www.mgocspares.co.uk. Piston Broke is proud to be supported by MGOC Spares. Thank you and enjoy the video. Whilst Jim and I were working on the car, we noticed that the rear brake drums were in a bit of a state. On closer inspection, they had more colour variations than Joseph's amazing coat. I love a painted caliper, but these just looked messy. We decided to remove all the paint, which turned out to be several layers of black, yellow and gold. The plan is to paint them black, but in the meantime, you can see the effects of Jim's efforts with the sander.
Hi, and so welcome back to another workshop video with me, Jim, working on Dotty, our 1977 Project MG Midget. So I've got a couple of jobs I want to do at the rear end. One is to change the diff oil. So I've jacked Dotty up and got her supported on axle stands, and I thought, well, while I'm doing this, a couple of other things we'll attend to. So one of those is to repaint the brake drums. At some point, they've been painted gold. Previous to that, they were bright yellow. Neither of which really suit the car, so we're going to paint them satin black. So, jack the car up, taking the handbrake off, and I've got the front wheels chocked securely just to make sure that she can't go anywhere. So we're going to undo the two drum retaining screws and work the brake drum off. So the brakes all look in fairly good condition. There's no sign of any, no sign of too much oil and weeping and so on. The cylinders all look nice and dry. The boots are all intact. There's good meat on the shoes. There's a little bit of oil around the flange. There might possibly be a seal from the axle that's starting to give up, but actually the shoes all look quite clean and free of contamination at the moment. So I think for the moment we'll just give them a little clean up with some brake cleaner and see how we get on. Okay, so I've headed back into the workshop now with the cleaned up brake drums, and what we're going to do, turn the camera down a little bit just so you can see what we're doing. So we're going to give them a sand over, get rid of all this gold caliper lacquer, the old paint, to try and clean up this edge a little bit, get it in a slightly better condition, ready for paint. So pop my mask on. And here we go. So as you see, the 40 grit disc is really starting to make short work of getting rid of all the old paint, rust, crud, brake dust and so on. So we'll carry on with this, and I'll come back when we've got them sanded down for the next step. Okay, so we've got the drums cleaned up. I started off with a 40 grit on the random orbit sander, then moved to a 60, a 180 and a 240 grit. The tops come up quite nicely. The sides are smoother, a little bit slightly pitted due to the excess corrosion, but I'm not really too concerned about that, as it's not going to be too visible under the car. The main thing is to get rid of the gold, the flaking paint and the flaking rust. So what I'm going to do now is to give it a coat over with some etch primer, and then after that we'll give it a coat of satin black. So we'll let that set up, probably give it another coat just to make sure that everything's evenly covered. It goes without saying, obviously make sure you wear the proper PPE. I'm wearing a face mask and a well ventilated area. I've got the workshop door open, so we're trying to keep the fumes down as much as possible. So we'll let that dry up. I'll give it a second coat and then we'll move on with some satin black. Okay, so the brake drums have had 2 coats of etch primer now and a good chance to dry. So we're going to give them a coat now of some satin black from a rattle can, which hopefully should just tidy them up a little bit. And again, give it a little time to set up, see how it looks, and then give it another coat afterwards when it's dry. Okay, so I've now given the paint a little chance to set up on the brake drum. While that was going on, I've given the brake shoes a little clean up. I used an aerosol brake cleaner just to remove any brake dust or dirt and contamination from around the adjusters. The shoes themselves are all in really good condition. There's no leaks from the wheel cylinders. Everything's all in good order. So we're able to simply refit the existing drums. They're not lipped on the inside. So I fitted new drums. I did add some new retaining screws just to make sure that they're easy to get on and off, and gave the hub a quick paint up as well. Well, that was in. So that's now ready for the wheel to get popped back on, and we can call that job of refurbishing the brake drums. That's another job checked off the list. One thing I should say, I also took the opportunity before I did the handbrake. We checked the brake adjustment, and what you're looking for is when the handbrake's removed, released, sorry, and the car is in neutral, that you can spin the drum with just a very light dragging motion. You shouldn't really be feeling too much in the way of resistance. That's exactly what we've got, so I've not bothered adjusting the brakes from there. So I'm going to pop the wheel back on now, and we'll call that another job ticked off the list.